Hello there, I'm Gary, and this is Physical Format Rock and Roll. Thank you for tuning in. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Obviously, I always talk about music on this channel, but I thought I would do a film review. I think those of you who watch my channel enough or who know me know that I'm also a comic book fan. You might be able to tell from some of the things that you see behind me occasionally. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's comic books. Anyway, we're going to talk about the latest Batman movie. So even though I have been a comic book fan for many years, I'm a fan of some of the movies and some of them not as much. Most of them are pretty good, but some hold up as good movies on their own merit, like for instance The Dark Knight, as where others don't work as well as just a movie. So how about this one? The latest Batman movie. Now, I will admit that initially, when this came out, news of it, I wasn't that excited, even though I am a big fan of the character Batman. He's probably actually my all-time favorite character. But, I thought in my mind, like a lot of you have, I'm sure, do we need another reboot of this character? DC has so many other characters that I would love to see brought to the film. But anyway, I thought I've got to go see it. So this is directed by Matt Reeves, and Batman is played, as you know, by Robert Pattinson. That was another thing that people were not that excited about. They're like, what? That guy from Twilight is going to play Batman? But he does a good job. This follows Batman as we enter this story. This is early Batman. They tell you that he's about 2 years in. He does some narration, which is different. You hear Batman talking. He's narrating some of this film. While we're along the way, we meet up with the Riddler, who is played by Paul Dano, and Catwoman, who is played by Zoe Kravitz. Yes, Lenny Kravitz's daughter. We also meet up with the Penguin, who is played by Colin Farrell, who is unrecognizable in the role. I didn't even realize that's who was playing the Penguin until it was done, because I made a point to not read very much about this movie. I kind of wanted to go into it blind. I didn't want to know what was going on. I didn't want to hear anybody else's opinions of the movie or anything before I went to see it. Commissioner Gordon is played by Jeffrey Wright, and Alfred is played by Andy Serkis. Now, I will say I mentioned all these actors' names because they're a big part of this movie. They carry it. This is definitely actor and story driven, more so than a lot of comic book movies. This movie is basically film noir. This is a murder mystery movie. This to me is a movie that I think people who aren't necessarily comic book fans could still enjoy. I mean, first of all, everybody knows Batman, right? And you're going to get Batman, and you're going to get some of the different things you associate with Batman, but it's going to be told in a little bit different way. Like I said, this is a young Batman, so he's not quite as experienced. The police force doesn't know what to think of him. I like the way this movie is done because it is done like a graphic novel. It takes elements of several graphic novels and kind of throws it in. You'll notice if you are a comic book fan, you will definitely see parts of the Hush storyline that are thrown into this movie. The character of the Riddler is not like the Riddler you would necessarily expect. He's not the guy in the green suit going, "Oh, riddle me this, Batman." Yes, he does talk in kind of a weird voice, actually, now that I say that. But definitely has a different look, a different attitude about him. And there's a string of murders that are happening, and they're all tied into important figures in the Gotham City landscape, including the Wayne family. So all these things come back, they get tied together. Zoe Kravitz does a great job of playing Catwoman also. This version of Catwoman is definitely the closest that they have come in the movies to the way the character of Catwoman has been portrayed in the last 10, 15 years or so. Very close to the comic book storyline. So that was very nice to see. There are no aliens in this movie. There's no, actually, nobody has any superpowers. So it definitely gives it a more gritty kind of feel than, like, you know, say one of the Marvel movies or anything like that. But it's dark, but not so dark that it's not entertaining. It is an entertaining movie. I will say this is a very long movie. This movie clocks in just under 3 hours. So if you do go see it in a theater, you know, grab yourself something to drink and a couple of snacks because you're going to be there for a while. But I didn't really felt like it drug on. You know, there might have been a part here or there they could have edited down. I can't really think of what it would be at this point, but I normally always think that when movies are pretty long, I always think, well, something could have been cut, but I can't really think of anything at the moment. So and it didn't really seem to drag on to me. But you know, this is pretty much without a doubt the best comic book movie, at least since that first Wonder Woman movie, which I thought was also a very good movie, very well done. This is very good. It overcame my bias of thinking another Batman movie, you know, rebooting it again. But I like the way that DC and Warner Brothers have said they are going to let different directors have their own vision of these characters, and they're not taking any kind of rules and saying, okay, you've got to make this tie in with this movie, you've got to make it tie in with that, you know, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. They're not making them tie these movies together because that handicaps a director and a you know, a story writer of it. This way they can have an independent universe if they want, and it just makes for a better overall movie. Well written, well acted. I highly recommend this movie. It surprised me very much. Very well done. One of the, like I said, easily one of the best comic book movies I have seen. Just a good movie overall. So I just want to give you a little review of that. The Batman 2022. So it's in theaters now. If you get a chance, go see it. I'm Gary. This is Physical Format Rock and Roll. Next time we'll be talking about music. Until the next time, my friends, Batman and I will see you down the road.